your eyes, I see no reflections of me. You just keep telling me lies. You think you can really fool me. Why do I keep falling in love when I know you're mistreating me? All the people around me keep telling me to stay above.
Hello everybody and welcome to another live show where I'm going to be talking about a couple mixers, specifically the Tascam Model 24, Model 16 and the Model 12. So stick around to find out.
To me, I already know they're not true. This lonely road ahead of me is my only hope for the life. What would I do without you? Your eyes just keep calling me back. I cannot live without you. This road is my only way back. She's the devil in disguise, tearing my whole life apart. She ain't the angel of love. She just keeps breaking my heart.
Today I'm going to talk about some of the great things about the Tascam, especially the Model 24 as well as the Model 16, which is a little bit smaller edition, and the Model 12. A bit of my view on these mixers, as well as some of the problems or the issues that especially the Model 12 has that is actually stopping me from changing my mixer if I ever need to change my current mixer, whether I go to 12 or 16, those two models. And we're going to talk about why I won't be switching, especially to the 16, which is really lovely, as well as the Model 12. So we'll see how we go.
She just keeps breaking my heart.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to my live stream again. I'm just checking things out and making sure that people are here. I won't be taking too many comments, but that's the whole idea, is to get some comments, but I'm going to stay on the topic of the Tascam Model 24, Model 16 and the 12, specifically the 12, which is aimed to the home recording studio scene. So hopefully I'll be able to give my ideas about it. I've been doing quite a lot of research on these mixers. I don't own one, but I've done a lot of research. And there is one or few things which it's stopping me from moving from my current Behringer UFX 1604 mixer. Not that anything is wrong with my Behringer mixer. I think I will stick with it for a very long time, but I'm also thinking that the Behringer mixer is now nearly 11, 12 years old technology, and I might need to move up to the latest technology. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but I will, I guess, find out. But until then, obviously, I need to prepare, making sure that I'm not cutting short myself. So if something happens to this mixer, for whatever reason, Windows, I'm on Windows 10 platform. So if Windows 10 all of a sudden decides that the driver is no longer supported and it won't work, and I need to move, not necessarily upgrade, but move to another mixer, a current mixer, those are the mixers that I'm looking at. And I will tell you why they are really, really great mixers. and why some of them actually have issues in the home recording studio area. So anyway, let's have a quick look on the mixers. I have also been in contact with, on YouTube with Tascam and explained some of the issues there are and whether they are going to be able to rectify them in the future, especially the Model 12. And hopefully they do, because Model 12 is a digital mixer. So there's a lot of things they can do as programmed to change things. So we'll talk about those things as well. Anyway, so let me see, where are we? I'm just going to open up my mixers, and I hope you guys can see this. I'm just going to go to the website and look at the information. Yep, okay, that's working. I just wanted to double check because I can't see what the live stream is doing in the back. The Model 12 is a 22 input analog mixer. It is analog, very similar to my Behringer mixer. So the analog comes in, and then right after the gain knob, then you've got converters that convert to digital that can send through USB to the PC, and then the rest of the audio signal follows through each channel to as analog, and then mixed at the main bus, and the main bus that also has the 2 stereo combined with the other 22 inputs that go to the output. Now, this is a really great mixer for live performances, as well as allowing you to actually record all 22 inputs individually on the SD card on itself. So you don't even have to carry any computer with you. You can record everything onto the SD card, and then, of course, load that into a DAW when you get into the studio to do live mixing. So for live production. If you want to produce a live recording into, an album or a single or whatever. So it's really, really great mixer if you need that many inputs. Of course, then you've got the Model 16, which is a 14 input. Again, this is an analog mixer. So it's same as the 24. Analog signal come in after the gain. They get converted and sent to the USB, and then the rest of the audio follows to each of the channels back into the main, and then the main as the final 2 inputs, making 16, going into your DAW. Mind you, I should also mention that the 16 or the 22 that's going into your PC or into your SD card, and you can record on your computer as well as the SD card simultaneously. Anyway, so you can feed back from the PC back into the mixer for further mix down. It's a great way to remix something that you already recorded, or you can use the analog features of the mixers, whether the Model 24 or the Model 16, to give that analog feel of each of the tracks. So even if you did not record with Model 24 or Model 16, you have multi-tracks in your DAW, you can feed those back into the mixer as if they were live, and then mix again as analog mix and summing mix into a stereo bus, and then send it back again. So those are the things that you can actually do. So it has not only 22 or 14, depending on the model number, going into your PC, but you have that many number of outputs coming back from your DAW back into the mixer. Just like you can do remixing from the SD card. So you can play back all the recorded material on the SD card and remix it again on the mixer itself back into a stereo file, and then you can export that. So it's really fantastic mixer. It's got effects built in. It's got compressor, EQ, sweepable EQ on most of the channels. The nice faders. You've got sub channels there as well. So really, really great mixer. And when we come to the Model 12, now we are looking at a completely different mixer, even though it looks very similar to the Model 24 and the 16 in visually, but underneath the surface, even though it looks analog, but it is all digital. So from the time that comes into the gain, right after the gain, everything is digital. Digital compressor, digital EQ, digital faders, auxiliary sends and panning, everything is digital. And anything that's going out, which includes the sub outputs, the main outputs, headphone outputs, the whole lot, auxiliary outputs, they actually have digital to analog converters just before the output connectors. So let's say the main outputs, right after the fader, they convert into analog, from digital to analog, and then feed out the XLR outputs. Everything is processed inside is digital. Not that anything wrong with it. It's a fantastic way to have small-scale digital mixer that still has all of those tactile knobs that you can use to do your mixing. Whether you're recording live into the SD card or into your DAW. And the Model 12 has 10 independent multi-channels go into your DAW, 10 come back, plus the 2 stereo that go, and the stereo that comes back, and the 10 come back. And you also have the stereo going out as well. And the Model 12 is really aimed for, as Tascam says it, desktop tool for music and multimedia creators. So it's for the home recording studio user. Most of their promotions are for, home recording studios. And the great thing about it is that since its release about a couple of years ago, they have already done lots of upgrades on the firmware. They've added things and they fixed things where with the analog, we've got all tracks on the PCB board. You can't really do much with them. The only thing that you can upgrade is most likely is the SD card read-write, the multi-track recorder functions in there, some of the effects built in there. But as far as the audio routing and everything else is, hard coded on the PCB with the tracks. So I was looking at the Model 12 as a replacement model for the future for me to upgrade. And let's have a quick look of all of its functions. As I mentioned, it's got really great features for it. And let's have a look at the features. They've added things like, there you go. Recently, they've added output delay for synchronization audio video streaming. So if you're doing live stream and your video and audio don't synchronize, you can actually, because of latency, you can actually put delay to change it. It's really, really fantastic. So Model 12 is way more functional, and you get and for the price, it's really, really unbelievable of what you can do with it. They are always adding things, and I have not read too many negative things on there, things going wrong. Obviously, there are some models that have some quirks and things, but that's quite normal with any hardware that you buy. There's always going to be some quirks. But majority of the time, 90% of the time, the unit works as expected. and it's welcomed by a lot of people. So, and the other additional thing that it also has are the inserts. So it got inserts for channel 1 and 2. So you can use compressors or EQs on the way in, which is really great. It's got the sub output. So if you want to output something to sub channels, like if you want to use it for outboard gear processing, so from your DAW, you can send it to the mixer and then out into your bus compressor, analog bus compressor, and then back again and then process it that way. So you can do all those things. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about is the headphone output. I'm not sure why they have opted to do it this way, and that's the only reason why it's stopping me from upgrading into Model 12 until they actually fix this issue. And the issue that I have, unlike the Model 24, and this issue also appears in Model 16, which cannot be fixed, but luckily Model 12 being digital can be fixed, is that the output of the headphones, and there are two of them. Let's have a look at the gallery. Let's have a look at the photos. Okay, and the headphones, hopefully you guys can actually see my mouse. There are two headphone outputs, and there are independent headphone outputs as well. You can control the volume and what you can listen to them independently, which is really great. But the headphone output is tied to the main fader, the red fader. And the red fader also controls the main outputs, which is your speakers. So if you are in a situation where you are going to record, let's say, your vocal or your acoustic guitar and any microphone input, you might want to turn off your speakers so you don't get feedback, so you get nice, clean vocals or audio going into the microphone, and you've got nice closed end headphones, so you don't get any mic bleed in them. You can't do that with Model 12 as well as the Model 16 because the headphone output is tied up to the main output. So you turn down your main output to turn off your speakers, you can't hear anything on the headphones. Now this is really annoying, and there is no workaround for it. For me, anyway, it's not a logical workaround. Sure, Tascam, when I approach Tascam recommends, well, you can turn off your speakers, turn off the volume or the main fader up while your speakers are turned off, and problem solved. Or you can turn the volume really low and turn your headphones up a bit until you can hear it. Well, that's not a really good solution. Especially for me anyway, because my speakers are tied up to mains conditioner, voltage conditioner with switch. So when I come in, I turn the switch on and everything comes on. And it's with a power conditioner, so everything is protected, and I switch it off. And it's very hard for me to reach the back of my speakers in the studio to turn them on and off. And a lot of the times, you'll be switching on and off and on and off as you're doing takes to hear whether you've got it right, especially if you're trying to find the right microphone for the vocalist, or if you're trying to find the right microphone for whatever you're recording, or if you're recording guitar cabinets, then you need to position the microphone on the cabinet. You really can't, because you need to switch on and off and see how it actually sounds on the speakers. You don't want to use headphones for that. And switching on and off my speakers, that's out of the question. So that's one solution that Tascam gives. And another solution is to use the sub output as an additional output you can control, which is independent, which is pre-main fader, and you can use a headphone amp, and then away you go. Well, there's two problems with me for that one. One of them is I have two really great headphone outputs that I cannot use. They're now useless because it's turned off. So if I need to send a click track to one of the headphones and I want to monitor something else on the other headphones, have different levels on each of the headphones, that makes it redundant. So what's the point of having the headphone socket there if I'm not going to use it? And secondly, that means the outputs, the sub outputs, let's have a look at behind it there. The sub outputs now are tied up to a headphone amp instead of what I like to connect, like maybe outboard gear or some other processing. It's just being misused for its purpose. I hope that makes sense. So that's one of my main problem. Why, if you are thinking of getting the Model 12, unless you can switch your speakers on and off and you are happy to do that, or you want to go to the line of getting an outboard headphone amplifier and use your sub output, and then that's fine. But it shouldn't really be that way, shouldn't it? And this is very similar problem to some of the Behringer mixers, like the Zenix series, the 502, 802, 1002, all of those series. The headphone and the control room output is post the main output. You can't turn down your main speakers without turning down the headphones. It's independent. The same thing also with Behringer FCA 1616 audio interface, 8 input, 8 output interface that I have. It has the same issue. The headphone output is post the main. I mean, you go, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know, if you've got headphones, you need to be able to control the output of the headphone independent of the main speaker output. So you can adjust however you like, whether you want both of them on, only one of them on. So that is really a main pain problem with the Tascam Model 12. And the same problem is also with the Model 16. And the Model 16 is not digital. It's hardwired. And even though Tascam sort of mentioned, no, that's not the case, and we're going to have a look at that later on. But Model 24 is correct. Model 24 has independent headphone and control room output than the main output. So for me, that is the correct and the right way to route audio to control rooms and headphones independent of the main mix. Similar to what I have with my Behringer mixer. The control room and the headphone can be the main output or a sub output routed without using any outboard headphone amplifiers. I've got two headphones on my Behringer mixer that I can use, and they're independent of my main mix fader. I can turn my main mix fader, I can turn my main speakers off, and I can turn my control room speakers on or my headphones on. So that's the flexibility I have. And that's the flexibility that the Model 24 has. But they have not moved it to the Model 16. Let's have a quick look at the where are the owner's manual. Is that the owner's manual? Yep. Well, let it download the manual, and now we're going to show you the audio route flowchart, how it actually shows where the control room and the headphone output is independent. It's pre-fader, and that's I believe it's the best way to have flexibility of how you can actually route the audio. So this is the Model 24 console. I think we need to go right to the end. And I'm going to switch it. Whether I can I? I'm trying to actually use Edge, but I'm not sure that Edge will actually work. No, let's search. How do you zoom in? There we go, zoom. So these are our main outputs. I'm sure you guys can actually see. Let me zoom in a bit further. Main outputs, fader, level meter, muting, all day. And the control room outputs, which are about here, control room and headphone, which are, so the headphone is taking post the control room fader, that's the level. So you can have a different level going to your control room output where you connect your monitors and speakers, and the headphone have a independent, and it is pre-monitor as well. And they are selecting it from the buses. So they are completely independent of the main output. So you can have different level for the control room, different level for the headphone output, and then different level for the main output. That's for the Model 24. Now, let's have a look at Tascam. And a few people obviously are complaining about this issue. And Roger commented on Tascam's video saying that on my Model 12 there is no control room output. Yes, true. How do I have a strong main left and right output without blasting my speakers? I don't have amp attenuators on speakers. I don't want to have to buy a separate monitoring section, which means headphone amplifiers. Why did Tascam leave this out, or what is their thought and solution to this? So basically he's asking, my speakers are too loud, I can't turn it down, but I cannot listen to the headphones at the same time. I don't have attenuators, so what's the solution? And also continues on saying that also I want to still retain my sub output for outboard processing, so I don't want to make that control room fader. I don't know what should I do. And Tascam replies saying that you will need to turn down the main fader to affect the signal to your speakers. You may want to get some external monitor controller if turning down the main fader does not work for your needs, which is not really the right solution. There is no solution. But if you do want to have headphone output without speakers turned on and you still want to use your sub output, you've got no choice. Now, I also commented on another video of Tascam about this issue. Let me see where we are. Where are my comments? Where did they disappear? Bear with me while I find my comment. I'm sure it was here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, this is on another video of the Model 12. And I commented, I hope Tascam can add phones, listen mix in pre-main fader option. So you can still listen while you have the main fader down, without using the sub and extra headphone amp. Great while tracking vocals or any microphone without reaching out and turning off the speakers off and on. And I continue saying, according to the flowchart, this should be possible for the Model 12 as it's pre-digital to analog converters. And saying thanks to Tascam. And Tascam came back saying that I think you might be confused on the operation. The phones and the control out on the Model 24 are not affected by the main fader's position. Only the Model 12's output to the headphones is affected by the main fader. Now, I'm not sure why they referring to 24, because I'm actually talking on a video for Model 12. I never mentioned 24. And as we saw in the graph for Model 24, that is true. The main output is independent of the control room output, which is independent of the headphone output, even though headphone and control room feed from the same signal, bus signal. And then I replied back saying that thanks for the reply. True for model 24, but not for model 16 and model 12, especially model 12, which is aimed towards the home recording enthusiast, who most times record in the same room, and it's a pain to turn off and on speakers or purchasing extra headphone amp when there are perfectly good 2 headphone outputs on the model 12. Again, I hope Tascam can come up with a solution within the menu for pre and post main fader for headphones. Otherwise, model 12 is the best in its market by far, which is true, and I say that. And of course, Tascam did come back, which is really great for Tascam to follow up on their YouTube videos, all the comments, not just mine, pretty much every question that appears on any of their videos, they quite quickly do reply to those comments and explaining. So people who do have issues, they're very quick to help and support them if they can. So this is a good sign. And Tascam replies saying the main fader does not affect the control room outs on both model 24 and 16. The model 12 does not have a control room out, which is true. Now, let's have a quick look at what is happening. And my follow-up answer was saying, it's great that Tascam is responding to my comments, but you are not reading the content of my comments. As per Tascam flow diagram in manuals, Model 24 control room headphone is independent, and we already agreed. So that's my first point there. Point number 2, Model 16 control room headphone is after the main fader, unless Tascam's flowchart diagram and or other videos demonstrating Model 16 are wrong. So let's go to Model 16. Okay, so Tascam is saying Model 16's headphone output is independent of the main output. And I'm saying that is not true. So I'm just going to go to the downloads again and look at the manual. Hopefully it will download fast enough. Oh, there we go. Nearly there. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is a very vital information I'm trying to provide. So in case you are deciding between the model Tascam 24, 16 and the 12. Okay, we've got that. Let's go to the flowchart, which is right at the end of the manual, and let's have a look. Okay. Now, if we have a look at the diagram, this is the main output right here. I'm going to zoom in a bit more so you guys can see. That's the main output. That's output level right there. So that controls what goes out to the main speakers connected to the main. And watch these dots, okay? And main stereo out that gets into the SD card recorder. These dots mean it's a connection to the same line. And let's follow that line down this way. Hope you guys can see the mouse all the way past the monitor 1 and 2 output and sub output right here. We're nearly there to the control room, and come here and feed those dots again into this output, which controls the pre-fader level and after fader level, and which feeds the control room level and the phone's level, and the control room output and headphone output. So if you have this main output right here turned down, no signal passes here because you need to turn the main speakers off. And that signal also feeds the actual control room and the headphone room output. Well, I hope that flowchart explanation was sufficient. As you can see, in Model 16, the control room and headphone output is after the main fader and not before, unlike the Model 24, which is correct. Model 24 picks up the control room, the headphone signal from the bus, not after the main fader. And then going to point 3, Model 12 headphone is after the main fader, as we agree. And I'm hoping that this can be changed with a new menu option, if possible, as it's digital. Thanks again. So what I'm trying to say is Model 16 is hardwired on the PCB, and that cannot be changed. But I'm hoping that in the near future, Tascam can take this new feature and add that option so people can choose whether they want the headphone to be pre or post main fader. And that will solve all of the problems. Then my money is there, right there. I've got my cash. I'll be there in a heartbeat and purchasing Model 12. And Tascam replied back saying that for the Model 12, you can press the main auxiliary 1 and 2 button down under the headphone knob, so the headphones are fed from the auxiliary 1 and 2 mix, which is true, and turn up the aux 1 and 2 knobs on the channels. That way the headphone out is not controlled by the main fader. That's a workaround. It is a workaround, but not correctly, because you lose a stereo image, because auxiliaries sense are mono. They are pre-main stereo bus. So even you are using auxiliary 1 and 2, you are sending the same signal across. So not only they are not stereo, that defies the whole purpose of the auxiliaries. And here our final reply to Tascam saying that please don't misunderstand me. I love Tascam. With your auxiliary 1 and 2 workaround, this also means I can't use any built-in effects during tracking and recording, like a bit of reverb or delay on the vocals. Or if I have to use auxiliary 1 for other purposes, each function option has a purpose and defeats it if it's used for other reasons, shortcomings. I'm sure having a menu option will resolve this 100% and make everyone who owns Model 12 very happy. I hope Tascam will take this on board for future firmware update. It will make it so easy to record as you turn off the main fader and listen on the headphone to record vocals, turn up the main fader and hear what you recorded. Problem solved. Thanks for listening. So I haven't heard anything back from Tascam after that comment. So I hope that this makes sense to you guys, that how important it is, especially in the home recording environment, where you don't have, especially if you don't have a live room where you're recording and a control room and they're all separate, and you can sort of work those out. Because in that case, in another live room, doesn't matter if you've got the speakers on, you can listen to them at the speakers and they can listen to it on the headphones as you're recording. But how many people actually have a live room in a control room in a home recording environment? Very, very little. And even if you have that situation, you probably want to get bigger mixer like the 16 or the 24 because you've got live room. Otherwise, you're just sacrificing space for nothing. So that is, my comment and my regards to the Tascam Model 12, as well as the 16. Hopefully, Tascam will take my comments and maybe, I don't know if they're ever going to watch this video, but take this solution, because it's digital, solve it, have a function and menu in there, like so many other features that they've added already since its release, to have a function saying, headphone, pre-fader, main fader, or post. And that's it. I don't know how hard will it be to implement that, but again, it's just lines of code that they could put in there. Otherwise, as I said, I will buy the Tascam Model 12 in a heartbeat, especially to the fact that it is also somewhat a DAW controller, surface controller. I know it's not motorized faders, but it still allows you to use multiple, multiple faders to automate, to write in the automation. So you can actually see what is happening. Where are we? Oh, sorry. My apologies. I'm just trying to search and find things on my computer. So, yeah, and you can automate and write the automation, and it will be much easier than using a mouse trying to automate faders. And you've got 10 of them, and you can work. You can automate the faders, you can automate the panning and few other options. And it's a fantastic way for the price. It's you can't beat it. It's pretty much 3-in-1. It's a live mixer. It is onboard SD card recording, multi-track recording, as well as into your DAW multi-track recording, and you can feed it back, playback. You've got audio interface as well as DAW control. So but as I said, that's the only thing that is stopping me from getting the Model 12. Okay. I hope that was long enough, but I wanted to prove the point about Tascam, some of the Tascam's claim that is different what their manually says. And let's get on. Before I wrap this up and finish this live stream, I will read some of the comments and reply to you. So whoever just joined in and have been watching for the last 45 minutes or so, thank you so much. 40 minutes. Thank you so much. I hope this video was informative and you have now better understanding of tiny shortcoming of the Model 12 and the Model 16 that will take you over the edge and then be a proud owner of Tascam models. I had so many Tascam products here, the Porta Studios that I had in the past, and some other digital recorders, whole heap of things. So they are really great company. They've been there for a long time and they know what they're doing, but sometimes they just don't think right. Okay. Judah Warrior says, I used to use Tascam, but the quality went bad. Maybe they have gotten better. And there's, I wonder how many tracks simultaneously. Well, just to quickly answer those ones, as I already mentioned and answered, Model 24 is 22 going, or 22 multi-tracks plus the stereo and 22 coming back. 16, 14 plus the stereo and 14 coming back. And Model 12 is 10 going and 10 coming back plus the 2 stereo going. So that's how they are. Where are these made? I don't know because I don't own one yet. But I will assume they be made somewhere in Asia. Flitify Phil says the headphone output issue is ridiculous. It's rather like the driver of a lower model car not being able to control the passenger side electric window, but the next model up does. Yeah, that's correct. The difference is manufacturing cost must be negligible. Yeah, I'm not sure about the manufacturing cost. But being digital, it's definitely more cost effective because you don't have any components, and you only need to have like a processor that runs it, and you can do a lot more with the processor than discrete components. Once you've got discrete components in there, you cannot change it. But with a microprocessor in there, then you just matter of code and everything changes. And the Judah Warrior says, I wonder if it works with Magic DAWs. I believe so it does, because it is a standard Huey and Mackie control for the DAW side of things, if that's what you're talking. But as far as an audio interface, yep, it works with every other DAW that support ASIO drivers. And they do come with ASIO drivers, quite a low latency as well. And Flitify says it should work with with any DAW. The real question would be about the audio interface. Yep. And also ask for how many tracks can you record simultaneously. I already answered that. And let's see. Most audio mixer interfaces only do 2 tracks simultaneously. Yes, most of them, they do only the stereo, like the Mackie mixers and the Behringer Xenix series mixers. A majority of them, they just tap onto the main output, and that's what you get. And then you've got a stereo return, and that's what you get back. But multi-track and multi-channel mixers are available, like the Tascam, like the Behringers, and a few other digital mixers obviously do support multi-track into your DAW. Okay, so if I want to record to my DAW, I can't record a band of 4 or more at the same time. Well, as I mentioned, yes, you can. Every channel you've got is an independent channel in your DAW. Okay, I think that's about all the questions I've got. Thank you again so much. And later on, if this video was helpful, helped you make a decision in the future, if you haven't already purchased one, make sure you give me the thumbs up. And if there are any comments about this video, feel free to comment below after the live stream. Later on, I'm more than happy to answer any question that you might have. And thanks for watching and being here for this live stream. Till next time, as always, thanks for watching and have a great time making music. Cheerio, everyone.